Hi guys, John the Firearms Instructor, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're starting a new series. It's called the Pros and Cons, and we're going to be doing the pros and cons of a Glock 19 Gen 5. It is the most popular pistol on the market. Let me tell you, I'm not a Glock guy, but we do sell them here in the store. People tend to like them. They're the most popular pistol on the market, but there are some pros and cons that you need to think about. Now, I've watched a lot of pros and con videos on YouTube, and they get really technical. And this is not a technical review. It's just my opinion on these, knowing students, teaching students, having them shoot the products and seeing the challenges that they have with the 19. And we're going to cover each one of these, and then I'm going to throw some pictures in and things like that. This is going to be somewhere between 4 and 6 minutes long. It's not a full tutorial on a Glock 19 Gen 5. And in my opinion, no matter what I say or any YouTube guru says, you got to do your education. You got to do your homework. You got to shoot the weapon. Can't take my advice to go out and buy something without you shooting it first. It's like me buying you a pair of shoes. We can't do that. You got to put them on. You got to try them on. You got to walk in them. So that being said, let's start out with number one pro, reliability. Man, these Glocks can run. They have been tested and tested and tested. They're issued all over the United States and the world. Prior to the 320 from SIG taking over the military contract, almost everyone had a Glock 19 in their pocket or in their holster. So reliability starts from number one. The Glock 19 has a lot of features that are very easy for a new student to use. And it runs. There's not picky on ammo. It's not going to have any issues. It doesn't jam. They don't like limp wristing, I can tell you that, but that's more about a training situation than anything. If you don't know what limp wristing is, that's when you're not locking your wrist out and letting the gun really flip and flop all over the place. So number one would be the reliability. Number two is ergonomics. Now, they built the Glock 19 Gen 5 for the FBI ability to use it, but they didn't like it because it didn't have an external safety, and they didn't like it because you had to pull the trigger to take the gun apart. But in the past, the Gen 5s, Gen 4s, Gen 3s all had finger grooves, and the finger grooves didn't fit everybody's hands. Mostly it was big guys' hands, and those finger grooves would lay on top of each other. Most people were trying to shave those finger grooves down. The trigger guard itself on some of the older Glocks didn't have a finger cut, so it didn't allow you to get high on the weapon, high on the tang. But the ergonomics now of the Gen 5, you'll see the picture right here. Man, I tell you, it has got flat front face on the grip. It's got some nice texture. Not too aggressive, but could be aggressive to some people. It's got a bigger mag release. It just fits in the hand nice. The only challenge you have with some people with small hands, it may not fit as well as you'd like it. That's number two. Number three, the Glock has put together a pretty nice package as far as how accurate the pistol is. You know, pistol's accuracy comes from the student, but the barrel itself has some nice rifling in it that allows that. The Glock seems to be able to put them together a lot tighter, even if you don't really know how to shoot the weapon. I tell you guys all the time, women have to control the weapon. A man could shittily hold the gun and shoot it okay. Majority of the time, the Glocks fill that need because it's just an accurate piece. It's got the great accuracy barrel in there. It's got a good spring system in it, so it works out pretty well. Most people are not having problems with the bullets themselves are more having problems with pulling the trigger and things like that. Number 4 is ease of maintenance. The maintenance on these are pretty simple and easy. If you look right here, there are 2 levers that you need to pull down to take the gun apart. And once you've done that, you put the gun in a little slide lock, and then make sure the gun is completely empty, magazine's out, and then pull the trigger. The slide comes directly off the top of it. Man, they take down real easy. A lot of the manufacturers have copied that for takedown ability. And number 5 is customization, man. They make these in MOS, they make them in colors, they make them in, there's so many different little things you can do with a Glock that you can't do with any other weapon. If you go and look online and you want to get a purple barrel and a green sights and a yellow handguard, I mean, they make everything for a Glock. So the pros are reliability, ergonomics, accuracy, ease of maintenance, customization. Those are my 5 pros. Now let's talk about the cons, because in my opinion, one of the worst things a Glock has is that accurate trigger. That trigger is so stiff that when you go to get it back, you can't slowly engage that trigger back because it loads so much. You know, we talk about trigger travel all the time, and that Glock's trigger, as you get it back, it's getting harder and harder and harder, not easier and easier and easier. Now, it shouldn't be super easy, but there should be something in the middle. And what tends to happen, people with hard triggers, is they get it back to a certain point and pull it because they're anticipating the recoil. So that trigger has a lot to be desired. Most people who shoot Glocks on a regular basis are changing out the trigger sooner or later. And that tells you something that you definitely want to pay attention to before you buy a Glock. And keep in mind, this pros and cons list is not, I'm going to go buy one now because John said this. You need to make sure you shoot these things before you buy them. It's imperative, guys. So triggers was number 1 of the cons, and then texture. Now, the Glock 19 Gen 5 has a nice texture on it, but for someone with softer hands, it may be a tad aggressive, especially when you're shooting it, because it tends to cause a little bit of rash. But if it's rashing in your hand, guess what you're not doing? You're not holding on to the gun properly. So that's kind of a training situation. If you're getting texture rash from any pistol, you're probably not holding it tight enough to control it to keep the gun from muzzle flipping at all. So number 2 was texture. Number 3 is sights. I'm a big component of a 3-dot sight, which is right here. Now the Glock sight is a box and dot, which is right here. The box and dot system is pretty elementary. You put the dot front post into the box, and a lot of people love that. Pretty explanation of easy. The challenge with that box is it's up and down, right and left, and it's hard for a student to visualize the pistol being level. But the 3-dot system, which is right here, the 3-dot system is going to make it a lot easier for you to level the pistol. Remember, it's all about that horizontal and vertical plane. And with a 3-dot system, all you have to do is put the 3 dots together. The 3 dots together will level the pistol. The box and dot system, you have your dot, and then you have the blackness underneath your dot. And a lot of people put that whole dot into the system instead of a half dot, which a half dot really, if you think about any sights, it's not the sight itself, and I'll show you right here. It's physically the top of the sights being level. If you have your front post lower than your back post, you're going to shoot low, and if you shoot high. So the sight system is probably the one thing that most people change out when they get the Glocks. Number 4 is the weight and the size. although they consider the Glock 19 a compact, it is a double stack weapon, and it holds 15 rounds. Well, in Florida they have a 10-round magazine or a 15-round magazine, according to where you're watching this video. But it's a double stack, so it's fat in the hands. Double stack means the rounds physically stack like this compared to the single stack, which are on top of each other. And some of the compacts, we're going to do a pro and con on all the compacts as well, but those physically are more serpentining into the weapon, which gives you a thinner grip. The Glock 19 is kind of challenging for younger students, let's say, and some of the women and some of the men that have smaller hands. It just doesn't fit exactly the way you like it. So size and weight could be a problem. It's not a gun you're going to carry on a regular basis. This is what most people do. They get their concealed weapons license, they go to the most reliable pistol that they know, and they pick a Glock 19 because everyone picks a Glock 19 first, and you begin to shoot that. That's a great range gun. That's a great home defense gun. That's a great once-in-a-while carry gun, but to carry every day for a living, to save your life, sooner or later it's going to be a pain in the butt, and you're not going to carry it. So that size and weight is a real challenge for most of the time. And I'll kind of give you some specifications down below on all the size of the barrels and all that stuff like that. And last but not least, Glocks can be expensive. There are a lot of manufacturers out there, Taurus, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, that could be a little cheaper, and you're not paying for the Glock name. Now, Glock has done really well on keeping their prices affordable, but when you are starting out new, some people can't afford a $600 gun. When the Taurus G2, which we'll do a pro and con on all that stuff, is about $300. So it all depends on what you want to do. Now, I'm always of the belief that you should pay as much as you can and buy as much as you can when it comes to firearms. Because a lot of people have the concept, like anything else, I'm going to start out with a cheaper pair of golf clubs, and when I get good, I'm going to get a better pair of golf clubs. Well, that may work in golf. That isn't going to work in shooting. Because the challenge on most firearms, and why most firearms are higher or lower in price, is all this pros and cons I just talked to you about. But realistically, any difference between one gun and another is the trigger. And imagine you bought a trigger that is a very heavy trigger, and you just can't get the whole concept of getting it back in a smooth transition for the weapon would cut. Well, you're going to spend a lot more time being inaccurate with that pistol, which will frustrate you, and in turn, you might not be as all gung-ho about it compared to buying a better pistol right off the bat. Remember, this isn't golf. This is your life. Spend as much as you can. You don't need to spend $3,000 on a gun if you're brand new at it. That's the secondary stage, and I don't believe in that either. But getting something you know. That's why our store, we only carry the top of the line products. I mean, the most popular products: Glock, Smith, Taurus, Ruger, Sig, and Hellcat. I mean, Springfield. Those are the top name brand carry guns. There's a lot more. You want to check out a live I did the other night. It's going to be right here. And it has to do with the top pistols. And I took the compact and subcompact in this list, and it gives you a full list and why I pick these and why they're important. But for the pros and cons of a Glock 19, there's more pros than there are cons, really, guys. My suggestion for you is to get out shoot a few pistols, including the Glock 19, the Gen 5, and see what you like. And if you like it, it's a good starter pistol. You're going to be somewhere between $550 and $600 on that. Do not pay more than $600 for a Glock 19 because that's about where they should be at. A lot of guys are having stores and they're with this economy we're having and the issues we're having, or you go to a gun show, they may be popping them a little bit higher just because of they think they can get it. I'm a local store locally here. If you are local and you watch this video, please come see me. I'd love to help you. You know, we specialize in you. We specialize in first-time shooters, and this is my love and my passion, and I want to extend it to you. We're a gun range and gun store in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida. Until next time, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line defense. Comment below if you have a Glock 19, or comment below if you own a pistol you really love. Until next time, I love you guys.